Be Frankie.
Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy B-Dell. If you're new to this channel, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. But today I'm going to give an esoteric demonstration of the movie They Clone Tyrone that's based on a geno-gnostic philosophy that's connected to cloning, and cloning is connected to the eugenic system that's controlled by the deep state shadow government for experimentation through asymmetrical, biochemical, psychological warfare, right? So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, get your notes out. We got a lot of information to cover because all this information is based on a metaphysical codex, right? Meaning that it's connected to mysticism, right? So when you break down, when you give an extensive breakdown on these movies, right? Everything, like I said, is a metaphysical codex, is based on mysticism. But you have to have, the mental fortitude and the spiritual eye in order to activate the codex within the message, right? So when you go to the top cast of the movie They Clone Tyrone, you got John Boyega, who plays Fontaine. Then you got Jamie Foxx, who plays Slick Charles. So what I did was I looked at the names. When you go to Slick Charles, I took out the word Slick and I used Charles and I amalgamated with the word Fontaine. So I made the name Charles Fontaine, right? And it took me all the way back to the propagation of eugenics, right? So when I look up the word Charles Fontaine, this is what I get back in the 1500s. And there's another guy named Charles LaFontaine, right? And they are basically the demonstrators of public magnetic demonstrations when you're talking about animal magnetism, which is basically a cure for on how to galvanize your own mental capacity, right? It's basically a combat of energy on how to compromise the neurological faculties of animals and humans, right? So it's kind of like the same concept as a stemma receiver being injected inside of a brain for mind manipulation, right? So when you look at this codex right here, these guys are from France because France is connected to the Notre Dame, and the Notre Dame is connected to the usurpation process by taking the seat of Isis and stealing your birthright that connects you to the certain geographical landmasses of America, right? Because all this stuff is connected to the Black nobility, but the inception of the problem started with France, because that's where the great majority of your Spanish conquistadors and your Jacobins and your Jacobians, they went to that landmass. We're going to get into it. I'm going to break it all down. But the Charles Fontaine guy, when you look at the names, when you look at his name, Charles Fontaine, they are responsible for animal magnetism, right? Which was propagated in the 1700s, right? And animal magnetism is based on hypnotism, right? And the hypnotism is based on transcendental meditation that's connected to metaphysical mesmerism. And that mesmerism is a occultic transmission that it influences the mind and the body to where it can compromise your neurological faculties. It can compromise your nervous system because, like I said, your nervous system is connected to your energetic morphic field, and your energetic morphic field is connected to the Ethereum state. So everything that's propagated by westernized philosophy, westernized psychology, all these things is based on the fact that it's to deviate the spiritual body from connecting with the Ethereum frequency of the soul. So that's why, within the movie, right, that everything was based on mind manipulation. And the mind manipulation is the fact that, you know, to be a clone is not just based on you having a different avatar. A clone is based on the fact that it's based on behavior modification, and that behavior modification creates a psychological egregore, and that psychological egregore is connected to a form of psychological external stimuli, which is learned behavior patterns in the brain. And these learned behavior patterns are, you know, propagated all throughout Western culture to carry out a certain agenda. So this is why you have the great majority of people on the planet who have the same thinking process. So your spirit body in a three-dimensional realm, which is third density, that is connected to your personality, right? Your individuality is connected to the frequency of the soul, right? So the great majority of people, when they don't have a mind of their own, they don't have any type of individuality. Anytime that you have a construct and a concept of a personality, it means that it's being facilitated by a way of group thinking that is controlled by Westernized psychology and philosophy and things of that nature. So this is why people have the same political views. This is why the people love the same music. This is why people like all the same things that's connected to the three-dimensional paradigm, right? So this is where you get these books right here. You got the mysticism of sound and music, right, which compromises your neurological faculties, right? When the music is at a certain vibration, then you got music, mysticism, and magic. Everything is based on grimoire magic, right? So I had to give you the edification on that, because like I said, when you look at the word, I'm gonna go all the way back to the top. This is Charles Fontaine. So what I did was, when I was looking at the casting list of the casting of They Clone Tyrone, I took Slick Charles, I took out the word slick, and I amalgamated with Fontaine, Charles Fontaine. So this guy is responsible for the concept of animal magnetism that's based on mind manipulation, right? So like I said, everything is a metaphysical codex, right? So now, where are we going to go? Now, this is all connected to, like I said, it's based on mind manipulation. So that's why when they was eating the chicken, all this stuff is connected to the concept of eugenics. And eugenics is based on the fact that they have to use your own divinity against you in order to kill yourself off for genetical self-preservation, right? And that genetical self-preservation is connected to the fact that it's based on cloning, because in order to clone, you need a certain amount of stem cells, and you need a certain amount of genetical faculties in order to, you know, create these other creations when you're talking about these physical avatars, when you're talking about clones and things of that nature, because everything starts with carbon, right? Because carbon is the building block of all civilization. It is basically your personification of life, right? So that's why in this movie, you know, when they went to the chicken shack and they was eating the chicken, everything that's connected to the veneration of Black culture, everything that's connected to the veneration of Black culture is basically compromised, you know, mentally, physically, and spiritually, right? And biologically, everything is compromised. So that's why the experimentations, when you're talking about, you know, the Tuskegee experiment, you know, you had all these forms of biochemical warfare that is subjected to your so-called Black people, because like I said, everything is based on genetical self-preservation. So everything, when you're talking about the perm, this is a scene in the movie where they were showing that the clean perm cream V2 is actually what perms actually do to Black women. It throws off the endocrine system, meaning that it manipulates the thyroid gland, right? Which is a fact. So the hypothalamus gland, the thyroid gland, and the thymus gland is what puts the endocrine system in alignment to where you can activate your seven energy cortexes, which is the chakra. So when you look at all these manipulated products within Black culture, it throws off your endocrine system. And when your endocrine system is thrown off, it throws off your spiritual vibration, meaning that your energetic morphic field, your nervous system can be compromised to where you no longer is connected to your higher self, which is the Ethereum frequency of the soul. So when the Ethereum frequency of the soul is disconnected from the physical body, right? This is where they can compromise you, to where demons can infiltrate you, to where you're thinking on the same process as everybody around you, because you no longer have individuality, right? So now we're going to get into the psychological manipulation aspect of it, right? So one thing you got to understand, that the color violet or purple, violet, is synonymous to the word violent. It's an anagram. It's a metaphysical codex anagram, right? Because they know that, the color purple or violet, whatever you want to call it, this is a high frequency that's connected to the crown chakra, which is your personification of the mental plane that connects you to the heavens, right? So that's why when they was listening to the music, the mind manipulation subjected them to a form of affliction. It subjected them to destruction. It subjected them to where they have no type of unity consciousness, to where they can deviate from all the negativity that's being propagated by so-called Black culture that's being controlled by the Jesuits, right? So now we're going to scoot back a little bit, because there's a video I got to show you. Now, this is not a coincidence that you got these lights. This is going on in real time. There's these lights called the Lucifer LED lights. And these are the new LED lights that's in place for the new street lights, right? Because these lights, like I said, has the ability to cause mind manipulation. And the mind manipulation is to keep you under mental subjugation, which is the lunar light lock. And that lunar light lock is to where you cannot unlock the spiritual keys to where you can navigate through the matrix system, right? So I'm gonna play the video. So it's not a coincidence that all throughout the movie, it's the same color spectrum as the Lucifer lights, right? Because I told you, mind manipulation in itself is connected to the crown chakra. So in order to attack God, you got to attack the crown. You got to attack the heavens. So when you disconnect it due to mind manipulation, this is where they can carry out certain agendas. This is why everybody's thinking on the same frequency, right? That's why it tells you all throughout, ancient forms of monotheistic religions and ancient tablets and things of that nature, they tell you that there's a designated 144,000. And I told you that 144,000 is based on the fact that you can activate the magnetites and the dendrites in the brain, which is the 144,000 crystals, to activate the Christ mind, which is the God mind, right? So that's why I said, in order to combat the energy to activate the Christ consciousness, they got to come up with a way to deviate you from that energy. And the only way to deviate you from that energy is by way of artificial intelligence, manipulation of lights, because they know that these lights and everything has the ability to cause neurological misfires. You see what I'm saying? So it's not a coincidence that these color spectrums is connected to the mind. And that's why everybody in the movie, like I said, is you're not a clone just based on you having a different avatar. You could be a clone just because of you thinking like the next person. With that being said, that's why the great majority of people on the planet right now, they said it was a study that is 68% of people on the planet walking around with no consciousness, right? Meaning that they're thinking on the same frequency through mind manipulation. And the mind manipulation is connected to this color spectrum, right? Which is a violet or color purple, which is kind of connected to the crown chakra, right? So these are called Lucifer lights, right? Because I told you, everything is connected to eugenics. Everything's connected to the eugenics because, like I said, they need a way to manipulate your divinity. They need a way to manipulate your avatar, because when you manipulate the body, you can manipulate the mind. And when you manipulate the mind, you can manipulate the body, right? So like I said, it's not a coincidence that all throughout the movie, you see the same color spectrum as the Lucifer lights, right? Because like I said, it's based on mind manipulation, because in order to disconnect you, they got to use the same color spectrum in order. It's kind of like like a catch-22, you know what I'm saying? How they do that. So like I said, everything is based on the color spectrum of violet. Because like I said, because they know that, these color spectrums, these false spiritual color spectrums, they have the ability to cause a neurological misfire to where it can basically dematerialize the neurotransmitters in the brain to where you cannot activate the higher frequency of consciousness, right? Not a coincidence. So that's why I'm saying the mind manipulation in itself, from the food, the chicken, the perms, you know what I'm saying, the powders, everything all throughout Black culture is pretty much compromised. And it's compromised to the fact that, like I said, they know that you have the physical vessel in order to deviate from this system, to deviate from this matrix. So since you have the physical vessel, the only way to compromise you is to compromise the mind. Because when the mind is not in sync with the body, you can pretty much control that person, which is, it brings up my next point. That's why they use the word Olympia Black. Where is it at? Yeah, here it goes. Remember in the movie, they used the word Olympia Black. Olympia Black was a metaphysical codex. Let me pull up something. Like I said, man, a lot of the stuff that I'll be coming up with, I don't, prepare everything. I just kind of go off the top. I bring my receipts together. So we're going to look at the Olympic rings real for a second. Matter of fact, we're going to go with Olympia Black. Olympia Black. If you're new to this channel, man, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share this video. It's very important because this video is going to tell you who's who and what's what. Now, there's a saying within the movie when they say the word Olympia Black, right? Olympia Black was a term to where they can basically control the minds of the people. You know what I'm saying, that was within the movie, who were basically the neurological clones. So that made me look it up. I look up Olympia Black. I come across this here. I get Zion, right? Now, Zion is a metaphysical codex because it's connected to the Olympic rings. So this is not the real color spectrum of the rings. When you're talking about the Olympic rings, the middle ring is supposed to be the black ring, which is the personification of the Black nobility. Because when you look at the word Olympia Black, when you look up the word Zion, now it's going to bring you all the way back to this older guy in the movie. Hold on for a second. Because this is all connected, right? Because in the movie, when they went to go visit the elder outside the liquor store, what did the guy, he said, man, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I doing? He said, you got to get out of Babylon. He said, how I get out of Babylon? So that's when it showed you they went to the church. The church was called Zion, right? Mind you, look at the color spectrum. You got the color spectrum purple in the background. And he also has a purple vest on, or a purple shirt underneath his vest with a purple tie, right? Color spectrum. Because the tie is the symbology of the cable and toe of the Canaanite when they try to infiltrate ancient Kemet. But that's a whole other topic. So now, with that being said, when you go back, right, you go to Zion. The church they went to was Mount Zion. And many remember the word Olympia Black was connected to the fact that it was connected to mind manipulation every time the white guy in the movie said the word, right? So when you look at Zion, that's connected to the Olympics. So when you look at the real color spectrum of the rings, you got the black ring in the middle, which is connected to the Black nobility, because that is the inception of how everything is being facilitated within this corporate system that's controlled by the Jacobins or the Jacobians, right? And the Jacobians is your so-called Black nobility, Spanish conquistador, Dutch masters, right? So now, like I said, they went to that church Zion. And they use the word Olympia, Black Olympics, 2012 Olympics. You get the metaphysical codex of the word Zion, right? We're going to break it down. You go to Zion. They went to the church Zion. Remember, everything is connected to the color purple or violet, whatever things of that nature, because the violet colors is connected to ancient Babylon, which is the popes, all the cardinals and the popes. They wear this color spectrum. The color spectrum, like I said, is connected to ancient Babylon, right? Where they have a veneration and they propagate Dagon, which is the symbology of the jealous God of the Bible, who is Enlil or Dagon, right? So that's why the cardinals, the popes, you know what I'm saying? They look like us, but they not us, right? This is all connected because it's connected to the church, because the church and the state is not separate. They're connected to each other by canon laws, because the canon laws were the ones where when they sent the black nobility, Spanish conquistadors, they sent missionaries to America and took you from your birthright. Because when you break down the G3526 Strong Concordance, the word Christian translates to the word black, which takes you out of your sovereign capacity, right? So when it takes you out of your sovereign capacity, that's what creates the afflictions of how you end up, subjecting yourself to many different afflictions when you talk about rap music, because you don't know who you are. You're subjected to rap music. You're subjected to everything in westernized culture that basically compromises your neurological faculties. So that's why, like I said, it's connected to Dagon and Mesopotamian sculpture, right? So like I said, every head of politics and religion, they all the priests were this is basically the symbology of Dagon, symbology of ancient Babylon, which is a servant of Leviathan, which is basically your so-called God of the Bible, who controls the three-dimensional state, right? Which is under, materialism. So that's why when you go to Judges 16:23, then the lords of the ungodly Philistines, right? The ungodly, which is the false leaders, right? And then the sacrifice unto them, the Babylonian fish god, Dagon, false god, and rejoice for the false god, and said, our God have delivered, which is the Adam, blacks, Israelites, Lewis, Jews, saints, Samson, our enemy, right? So it shows you right here at the bottom, you got the dragon or Dagon or Draconian reptilian. Same thing. It's just a metaphysical codex. They're basically just anagrams of each other, right? This is all connected to the Anunnaki story, right? Because what I'm trying to get you to understand is that the same people, while we're just showing you, they are the ones who control everything, right? There's something I'm missing. I'm missing something. Hold on for a second. Because it's connected to everything, and I'm telling you. Because what you got to understand is that the unseen hand. That's why you got to get this book called The Secret Relationships Between Blacks and Jews. Hold on. I think I accidentally deleted it. But we're going to come back to it. Hold on for a second. So what you got to understand, I got to send it all out to myself again. Or is it in here? Oh, never mind. Here it goes. So like I said, everything is connected to Sorry about that. Everything is connected to, when you understand the inception of the story, because I told you your book of Enoch is connected to everything that's taking place on the planet. When you're talking about the 200 fallen angels, when they made it with the daughters of man, which is the Canaanite. So the Canaanite is what created the pharaohs and the Roman Empire, the Khazarians, the Judaism, the Knights of Templars, which is connected to Switzerland, France, Germany, Great Britain, which is the inception point of your Federal Reserve corporation that's connected to the Vatican, and the Vatican is connected to everything United States. When you're talking about the corporate power of the military system, which is also connected to Freemasonry and connected to the Bavarian Illuminati and the Masonic Vatican coup. So this is where is the inception points, because that's why everything is based on a corporation, but a corporation needs employees, and the employees are the clones who are stuck on who are subjugated on an energetic level and in a mental level. You know what I'm saying? The great majority of humans on the planet are basically the employees of this corporation, because you're carrying out the agenda for these people to keep them in power by buying their products, eating their chicken, going to Popeyes. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff is connected. So that's why you got to get this book called the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, right? So because this book is connected to the secret relationship between blacks and Jews, right? You got to get this book because it's also talking about, ruthless suppression, brainwashing, abuse of authority, right? Rulers and people, financial programs, loans and credit, the power of gold, takeover techniques, worldwide wars. This is pretty much the template and the blueprint on how they galvanize their own power in order to keep you subjugated on the mental level, right? Because this is all connected to the movie. Everything's connected. Everything is connected. Now, the reason I say everything is connected, because I told you everything is based on mind manipulation. That's why, within protocol number 11, they say that the goyim is a pack of sheep. You a sheep because you no longer have a mind of your own. You no longer have individuality. They separated the spirit body from the soul, right? And the reason that you don't have the ability to activate the Ethereum frequency of the soul is because you've been compromised at a neurological level, because you buy a products that keeps you at mental subjugation. There's no evolution for you, right? There's no evolution for you, and you going up to Popeyes eating a damn chicken sandwich. There ain't no evolution for you. You putting perms in your head and you trying to look somebody, you know what I'm saying, that's not connected to the indigenous culture. There's no evolution for you if you're propagating anything that goes against nature. It goes against the nature of who you are, right? So that's where you get your whole personification of the concept of an antichrist, right? Because you are anti yourself, because now you need external stimulation in order to feel like you have a sense of purpose on this planet, right? So that's why I'm saying you got to get this book. You got to get this book. It tells you the highly initiated leaders of Freemasonry, right? The Jewish Masonic conspiracy that controls everything in the three-dimensional paradigm through corporations, right? Which is also connected to the black hand of control, right? Because, like I said, the unseen hand is the hidden hand, and the hidden hand is the black hand, and the black hand is the black nobility that keeps you under subjugation, right? Through the 5 Ps of ancient occultism, which is philosophy, politics, paganism, polytheism, and the prison system. And all these things is connected to a form of spiritual entrapment that's connected to the mind manipulation matrix system, right? Which is why when you look at this star of David in the middle right here, it shows you the hexahedron cube of Saturn, meaning that you're subjugated on a corporate level, you're subjugated on a sovereign level. You don't know who you are, right? You don't know who you are. So this is why you start to coincide, everything that's connected to their system, the money, the religion, right? Freemasonry, all this stuff. Now, with that being said, that's why I needed to show you this right here, this hand, the black hand of control. That's the black nobility, because when you look at the movie, right, the movie showed you that behind everything was a person who looked like me and you. The person who was, controlling everything behind the scenes was a person who looks like me and you. Because I told you, once you get to once you go down the rabbit hole, once you get to the inception point, how everything was created, what you got to understand is, because you get a lot of black people who have this concept that, you have a certain demographic of people be like, oh, they the devil, they the devil. But you got to understand that you was the first devil, right? Because like I said, there's a delineation between Enki and Enlil, right? When you understand the mythology. Because Enlil, who is your jealous god of the Bible, he's a so-called melanated man or carbonated being, right? So what you got to understand is that when these 200 fallen angels came down, they were black, right? These 200 fallen angels, they were melanated, carbonated angels or extraterrestrials or aliens. When they came down and amalgamated with the daughters of man, the Canaanite, that's how they got their power. That's why it tells you in El's Holy Injil, Revelation 17:17, that the evil reptilian gave the power to the beast. The beast is the Canaanite. The beast is what controls everything in the corporate system. Food, right? They control everything in all these industries. They control the music industry, right? They control the hair industry. They control everything, right? So that's why you got to get this book. I'm gonna go back. I forgot to show it to you. You got to get this book, The Secret Relationship. Now look at the color spectrum, not a coincidence, because purple is a royal color within the black nobility, which is a Babylonian color. Now, like I said, you got to get this book called The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, right? We finna break it down today, man. We got to make it make sense, right? So that's why when you go to, it tells you about the Dutch masters, the Spanish conquistadors, how they came over here. How you put under the Hiram Abiff through the Unum Sanctum with the bloody oath of secrecy on how they basically usurped your sovereignty, right? It goes into talking about slavery in Jewish law. It goes into black slave owners and things of that nature, which is connected to your black nobility royal families. That's connected to Switzerland. All this stuff, is in connection. The secret Jews, right? The ones you don't know about, the ones that was in Northern Africa, right? Which is why, not a coincidence, I showed you, those Africans had the same garments as the Pope, because that's all Babylonian spiritual magic, right? The veneration of Dagon, right? So that's why you got to get that book right there. I'm gonna bring it back up. The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, right? Got to get that book right there, because it's connected to the fact that when you go to the movie, the person that was running everything behind the scene was a person who looked like me and you, was a so-called black person, right? He was the one that was pulling the strings behind the scenes. Because in order to understand about, one thing you got to understand about systemic racism, systematic racism, is that in order for people to galvanize their power, in order for people to, get, and understand us intuitively, they have to be taught by somebody who looks like me and you, who gave them the edification. You forgetting who were the ones who bought them out of the Caucasus Mountains and bought them over to in ancient Kemet, right? Who's the one who did that? It was people who look like me and you. But that's the inception of the story, to understand who's who and what's what. That's how you decipher who the sellouts are, right? So I'm gonna go over here. That's the reason that's important, because it tells you the guy, he was saying that you got to go to the Wizard of Oz, and the land of Oz is connected to this movie right here, the Wizard of Oz, because when you look at the Wizard of Oz, he looks just like Yakub, because the Jacobins, the sellout Spanish conquistadors, those are the ones who gave the power to the Canaanite to put us in subjugation to buy their products for my manipulation. Because, like I said, the Canaanite doesn't have the divinity in order to survive the metamorphic shift that's going on the planet when you're talking about coming out of the 24,000 year purification period, right? So, like I said, you got to be compromised on a neurological level, because when they compromise the mind, you don't care about your physical vessel. Give me your stem cells. Give me your plasma. Give me your blood, right? Give me your placenta. You know what I'm saying? Because now you're thinking on the low vibrational frequency. Because now now you're going after the money, just like how everybody else is chasing after the money. Because, like I said, you're disconnected from the soul. You don't know who you are. But the inception of the problem for you to not know who you are is when they took away your birthrights. When you're talking about, the colonization aspects of the Black nobility, the Spanish conquistadors, the Blackamoors, the Blackamoor Hebrews, and things of that nature. So that's why I'm saying he was basically your personification of Yakub, a Jacobin, a Black nobility, right? So I'm gonna show you this video for those of you who think cloning is a conspiracy, right?
Good morning. Could it be possible to clone? Our administration believes that there are loopholes that could allow the cloning of human beings if the technology were developed. Therefore, today I am issuing a directive that bans the use of any federal funds for any cloning of human beings. Effective immediately, no federal agency may support, fund, or undertake such activity. Of course, a great deal of research and activity in this area is supported by private funds. That is why I am urging the entire scientific and medical community, every foundation, every university, every industry that supports work in this area, to heed the federal government's example. I'm asking for a voluntary moratorium on the cloning of human beings until our Bioethics Advisory Commission and our entire nation have had a real chance to understand and debate the profound ethical implications of the latest advances. As we gain a fuller understanding of this technology, we must proceed not just with caution, but also with a conscience. By insisting that not a single taxpayer dollar supports human cloning, and by urging a moratorium on all private research in this area, we can ensure that as we move forward on this issue, we weigh the concerns of faith and family and philosophy and values, not merely of science alone. Thank you very much.
So those are for people who think that cloning is, is a conspiracy. You know what I'm saying? They got to put everything in the public domain. So another thing, an aspect of cloning is that when you understand the history of Hitler, you know what I'm saying? He got his concepts of geno-Gnostic philosophy from the Pleiadians. They gave him the technology on how to clone because he lost at least 1/3 of his army in his military in World War I. In order to revitalize his army, that's when he started this whole concept of, cloning. So they also say that Arnold Schwarzenegger is a byproduct of cloning, because when you understand the genetical meat suit of a Canaanite, right, you can basically make their biological parts interchangeable with a pig, right? Because the pig is grafted out of the fourth seed of the Canaanite, which is the Girgashite, right? Because that's why the great majority of clones, they actually have pig hearts within their biological body. So it's not a coincidence. If you can look it up, Arnold Schwarzenegger has a pig heart inside of his body, and he was also part of that German military Nazi program that took place when you're talking about cloning. Because one thing you got to understand is that the Pleiadians are the ones who gave him Hitler the technology on how to clone people, right? And also what you can't negate when you understand the mythology of Yakub, they say that his brain was hacked by Pleiadians, right? So that's why it's not a coincidence when you look at the obelisk in Washington, D.C. You know what I'm saying? The obelisk is also the symbology of Jacob's ladder, because that is the personification of the Kundalini energy on how you activate the God mind. So that obelisk in Washington, D.C., guess what's in alignment with? It's in alignment with the Pleiadian star constellation, right? So I was just giving you a little, little key points about, certain, little nuggets on how you can piece certain things up that aligns with everything that's connected to the movie, which is connected to cloning and things of that nature. Now, one thing you got to understand is that, like I said, your physical vessel in this three-dimensional reality is cultivated by a person, by a personality. Your higher self, the ethereal frequency of the soul, right? That is your individuality. Most people don't have individuality. Everybody has personalities. When you see people with certain personalities, they are clones and byproducts of other species of people, or subjected to a certain construct of thinking. You know what I'm saying? This is why you got people who listen to a certain demographic of rap music. They all think the same. You got the Christians, they all think the same. You got all these people all around the planet, they got the same thinking process. You got the people who are subjected to racism, they got the same thinking process. You got people who are subjected to anything that's that has an affliction to who you are as a person on this planet. Everybody has the same, thinking process. So that's what makes you a clone. You are compromised on a neurological level. You no longer have the ability to think for yourself. So since you don't have the ability to think for yourself, that means that you are disconnected. You're disconnected from your higher self. You're disconnected from your own godhood, because you are anti-you. So that's why, like I said, the corporation in itself is upheld by materialism. So now you need external stimulation in order to feel good inside, because you have no sense of purpose, because your purpose is connected to your individuality. So this is why people don't have individuality. They have personalities. They piggybacking on somebody else's personality, because they no longer have a connection. They no longer have a connection within themselves. So that's the concept of cloning. You can't just be a clone, just you have a different avatar. You can be cloned on the mental level, but that's why you have the compromisation of genetically modified foods and things of that nature. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this video gave you supreme clarity about what's taking place on the planet, right? So think for yourself while it's still legal to. End of transmission.